Okay, I think we'll kick off. Everyone. Hi, I'm Rosie McKenzie, the Senior Company Engagement Manager for the WDI, and I'll be sort of facilitating the session. I'm going to pass it over to James to introduce things, though.
Thank you very much, Rosie, and I'm James Caldwell, Head of the Workforce Disclosure Initiative at the Thomson Reuters Foundation. In a moment, I will hand over to a couple of members of the senior leadership team at Thomson Reuters Foundation, and also after that to Luda Sistanova, Senior ESG Analyst at Amundi, who unfortunately can't be with us live, but have very kindly sent a video that sets out some of the reasons why they support the WDI. Then we'll hear from a few other of our investor signatories about their engagement with the WDI programme in 2023. And then we will move on to the awards themselves. So I'm very pleased to hand over to, first of all, Antonio Zappulla, the Chief Executive of the Thomson Reuters Foundation. Antonio.
Thank you, James, and thank you, Rosie. Good afternoon from London, good morning, and good evening wherever you are. It's a great pleasure for me to be here with you today to celebrate the work of WDI, which in essence is a celebration of transparency. Transparency that is being driven by you, corporates and investors who believe that more data, better data, and the effort to generate data is important. Data, of course, on workforce issues. And this is the essence of WDI, an initiative that is firmly anchored within the S of ESG. And whether ESG as a framework is more or less fashionable, depending on who you speak to and where, the essence is that three things are essentially happening. The first one is that workforce issues are increasingly affecting companies around the world. The second one is that legislation is being developed in every continent. And the third thing is that investors are experiencing strong demand for portfolios that set aside companies that are going above and beyond in terms of transparency related to workforce-related issues. And C-suite executives, whether they run companies or investment firms, know this very well. Since the global adoption of the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights 13 years ago, business leaders have been asked to provide a new type of leadership, one that looks at the bottom line more holistically. And at the same time, a new generation of investors and consumers are now pushing for transparency when it comes to corporate impact, a level of transparency that takes into account the impact of a company on society and on the environment, assessing its overall value. And that is where WDI comes in. The Workforce Disclosure Initiative provides a unique framework for companies to identify gaps in their data and practices and benchmark against their peers. It's, as you know, a tool that not only facilitates transparency, but also promotes a culture of continuous improvement and the sharing of best practice among companies and investors. And that is because WDI brings together an ecosystem of like-minded corporate leaders and top investors who just get this. And by encouraging transparency and scrutiny, the WDI network plays a vital role in scaling responsible business practices and promoting access to decent work for all around the globe. And as you will know, since the start of the year, the WDI has a new home here at the Thomson Reuters Foundation. Here we work to strengthen free, fair, and informed societies. And one of our approaches at the Thomson Reuters Foundation is to foster responsible business practices which result in the creation of more inclusive economies. Our goal is to encourage more equitable and sustainable business practices, practices that take into account all stakeholders and prioritize human rights. And that is why we are so excited to have WDI with us. Our global reach, our expertise, and our experience in scaling services around the world means that we are truly in a unique position to build on WDI's success. And let me tell you, we have big plans for it. We want to improve the user experience. We want to grow the network. We want to strengthen the engagement with both companies and investors because we believe there is immense value and huge potential in what WDI has done and can continue to do here at the Thomson Reuters Foundation. But today is, of course, all about you, the winners of the Transparency Award. And so as we celebrate this year's winners, let's work together to ensure that transparency will never be just a buzzword, but instead a cornerstone of trust and accountability. On behalf of the Thomson Reuters Foundation, I look forward to working with you, building on the success of WDI, so that together we can make a positive impact on people and on the planet. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Antonio. Next, I'm very pleased to hand over to Red Godfrey-Sagu, Director of Inclusive Economies at the Thomson Reuters Foundation.
Thank you, James. Thank you to the entire WDI team for only a month into being at Thomson Reuters Foundation, having got the awards up and running, and for today. I also wanted to echo Antonio's remarks about transparency and the need for inclusive economies and responsible business. But I also wanted to add in that we do fundamentally believe that by working with the business sector, civil society, academia, and policymakers, we can develop initiatives that enable businesses to make better decisions affecting communities and the environment. It is a collective effort, and I'm thrilled that we now have the WDI team, but also all of our partners, investors, companies, and all stakeholders as part of this next phase for this program. Please stay with us. We have some exciting developments that we will be sharing as the year goes forward. But other than that, a huge thank you and congratulations to everybody that's been recognized and also the winners for today. Thank you very much, and I'll hand it back to Rosie.
Thanks, Fred. We're going to play that quick video from Luda that James mentioned. If you just bear with me for 1 second. Just make sure it's loading. I think it's loaded. Okay, lovely. Just going to quick play.
So this year Amundi engaged with almost 40 companies on the disclosure campaign for the Workforce Disclosure Initiative, and as every year we've really valued the discussions that it has enabled us to conduct with our investee companies and discuss their approach to talent management, human capital, and supply chain management, as well as to encourage them to introduce some of the best practices in terms of social reporting. Now, we appreciate that this year has once again been one of increasing regulatory requirements, with companies facing more disclosure expectations in different regions around the world. But we very much appreciated the opportunity to speak with companies who maybe haven't had the chance to submit to the WDI on this occasion, but have definitely picked up on some of those best practices in terms of disclosure and valued the opportunity to go through the WDI questionnaire with us. So we really want to thank all of our collaborators this year and all of the companies who did participate.
Lovely. Thank you. Over to Samuel to talk a bit about the investor angle. Thanks, Samuel.
Thank you very much, Rosie and Luda, of course. I want to first introduce myself. I'm Samuel Recco. I'm the Investor Engagement Manager at the WDI. First, I want to say 2023 was a great year for company engagement in terms of our investor group. We saw investors engaging and contacting close to 300 companies, many of them, of course, contacted by multiple investors, as many of the companies on this call can attest to, leading to north of 450 individual instances of company engagement, which is, of course, very, very impressive. In fact, as many of you will know, the WDI also collects data on why companies decline to take part in the WDI. And in 2023, we recorded no instances of companies specifying that they declined to take part because of a lack of investor interest. So that is very telling in of itself. In 2023, it became very clear very quickly, and we learned this certainly through our own experience and through investor anecdotes, that it was a very challenging environment for social disclosures due to many companies essentially anticipating mandatory and social disclosures, upcoming mandatory social disclosures. So it was more important than ever that the WDI found itself flanked by such investor insistence. We want to take this moment to thank the 20 plus investor signatories that engaged with their investee companies. However, this particular part of the award is to recognize those three investors that the most engagement in this period. So that is Lion Trust Asset Management and the university's superannuation scheme and Amundi Asset Management. We have them on the line today to speak a little about their experiences. So we have Harriet Parker, investment manager at Lion Trust. We have Luda is not here. She's actually here via recording. So we'll have another recording from Luda from Amundi. And then, of course, we have Philippa Thornton from USS. So over to you, Harry. Sorry, Harry, can you hear us? In fact, we will go to Philippa first, and if you're available, Philippa.
Yep. Hi, thanks, Samuel. Can you all see me all right? Okay, perfect. Yeah, so just to give an overview of sort of our involvement in the WDI this year, we sent letters to 34 companies, 8 of which were Indian companies, and that was on the back of the sort of push from the WDI in light of the BRSR regulations that came into force. USS has been part of WDI for a number of years now, and we have engaged with companies in the past. So, for example, through engagement calls mainly, so with Mahindra, for example, but this is actually the first year that we've sent letters to all of our holdings that have yet to respond to the WDI, so that was great. And, we decided we wanted to initially support WDI's India push, but then we thought, since we're doing that, why not just send letters to all companies and see what happens and see if we can get some more companies to respond. So yeah, that's what we did. I mean, it was quite a simple process. If anyone else would like to, hasn't done it before and is thinking about doing it next year, we basically just used a template from WDI and sort of adapted it. So for individual companies, and then also just to kind of, give a bit of a background on why USS in particular is interested in seeing better reporting on workforce issues from the companies that we hold. Yeah, and then we got a response, I would say, from a handful of companies, not too many, but that's probably partially because we weren't actually able to follow up as much as we'd have liked to because of resource constraints coming up to Christmas. But yeah, I think it was a really positive experience. And just want to say thank you to Samuel and Rosie for all of the work that they're doing at the WDI and for the rest of the team. And it's been great to be a part of the initiative. And yeah, we're particularly excited to see, I think, over the next year where the work with the ISSB is going, and to see how, we can maybe get more workforce disclosure, as part of different sort of regulatory regulatory developments. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Philippa. And I wonder if Harriet's on the line at the moment.
I'm here. Can you hear me okay now?
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah. Hi, Samuel. Hi, Rosie. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Just really happy that our team has been able to help the WDI over 2023, engaging and analysing companies on key topics like workforce related issues is obviously central to our team, Sustainable Investment Team's investment process, and how really we ensure that we're kind of invested in these high quality companies over the long term. So yeah, workforce data obviously is important. It gives us greater insight into how these businesses are managed, really helping us to identify those leading companies and of course to encourage those better business practices and improvements. So yeah, while there has been progress in workforce reporting, there is still a lack of kind of meaningful and comparable data out there. So we really do support the WDI's aims of improving that transparency, improving that comparability of data. Yeah, and our team over 2023 had a good experience of engaging with companies. So over 40% of the companies we contacted ended up participating. And yeah, we just kind of want to build on that over the coming years and get to kind of really get to that point where we're using that data to help our internal analysis and of course, you know, those conversations with companies as well. So yeah, just wanted to extend our thanks to all the companies that took part and obviously the other investors, signatories and everyone involved at the WDI. Great effort.
Thanks, Harry. I'm just going to play the video as Samuel mentioned. She sent another video in reference to them doing so much engagement.
As investors, we really value the core metrics data set. We think that it's important for two reasons for companies to submit the core metrics. First, they provide consistency across the years through which the WDI has collected data. So for us, that provides comparable data for companies that also corresponds to some of the key regulatory requirements. And so we really encourage companies who had previously submitted their data and now are facing, for instance, increased reporting requirements elsewhere to at least continue to submit the core metrics so that we as investors can use them to continue to track companies' social performance. But equally, and that is the second reason why core social metrics are important, for companies who are new to the WDI and might be overwhelmed by the number of data points they need to collect and comments they need to provide, core metrics are a great first step towards submitting the full data set required by the WDI. So we really appreciate it when companies who are new to the survey start with core metrics.
Lovely. Okay. And now we are on to the awards themselves, the reason we're all here. So as mentioned, we're going to kick off with the special mentions first. So that's where very happily more than, or lots of companies managed to fulfill the criteria, which is fantastic. So the first one, the most transparent award, that's where the companies managed to submit all of their answers publicly. So everything they submitted is available or will be available on the website when our findings report goes out live at the end of March. And we really do encourage companies to make as much of their response public as they can, in the pursuit of being as transparent as absolutely possible. So big thank you to those 40 companies that managed it. Thank you so much. We know sign off can be tricky, but that's really, really great, that commitment to being as transparent as possible. Lovely. Okay, next is the Workforce Action Award. So this is all about answering the questions that have impact and sort of concrete outcomes within the survey. And they can therefore obviously be very insightful because it's concrete actions the company is taking. So again, a huge thank you to the 40 companies who managed to do 60 companies who managed to do that. Lovely. I'll hand over to James for the next bit.
Thank you, Rosie. So we'll move on now to special mentions for the Value Chain Data Award. So this award celebrates companies who provided the most data on the value chain only sections of the survey. Value chains and especially supply chains are of course complicated things and changing all the time. Companies are increasingly being expected to take responsibility for their value chains, and of course the workers who can be exposed to very serious risks within the supply chain. So thank you to the 8 organizations that you can see on the screen here, who are able to provide a lot of information on their value chain.
Thanks, James. Right, so now we're on to the awards which actually receive a trophy in the post for fulfilling all the criteria. And the first one, obviously, is around contingent workforce. So that's looking at all the data points within the survey around contingent workers and the organisations who managed to provide data on all of those questions. So we have a short list here. So many congratulations to all of those 15 companies. That's super. But the ones who managed to just sort of pip people to the post and managed to pick up all the disclosure points for those questions. It's actually 4 organisations, so a massive thank you to these 4. We're going to hear from 3 of them. Unfortunately, Standard Chartered couldn't be with us today live, but we're going to hear from Georgia and Anton Achi. Sorry, Georgia, if I've mispronounced that. You can correct me in a second. ESG Manager at PensionBee, Chirag Mehta, Chief Investment Officer at Quantum, and Anushka Davis, Head of Employee Engagement, Diversity and Inclusion at Softcat. So Georgia, over to you. I'm really sorry if I butchered your surname.
Thank you. That's okay. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay? Brilliant. So thank you so much for this award. We're very happy. Just very quickly, PensionBee is a leading online personal pension provider in the UK, and our mission is to make pensions simple so that everyone can look forward to a happy retirement. We are an investor signatory of the WDI, and from 2021 onwards, we became a disclosing participant, and overall, our experience as a responding company has been great. Thanks to the WDI team, definitely challenging, but rewarding and helpful for our business. We have a workforce of 208 employees, and our team is constantly growing, especially since we offer fully remote working from anywhere in the UK. But the number of workers and contingent contracts has remained stable and very limited over the years, representing a tiny percentage of our total workforce. And this is because where possible, we prefer to offer a full-time indefinite contract. But when we rely on contingent contracts, it's when it's the only option available, it's just for colleagues who permanently live abroad. And when we do, we make sure that our contingent workers have the same exact rights and benefits as any other colleague, including end of year bonus, pension scheme, and equity schemes. But definitely reporting under the WDI also for contingent workforce is very important for us to have a clear picture of where we are in this topic. Thank you.
Chirag, over to you if that's okay.
Sure. Thank you, Rosie, and thank you, James. Firstly, thank you so much to the WDI team for the recognition. It's been a great collaboration with WDI overall. Contingent workforce, I think it's many times the most neglected area of reporting that we have seen in companies. But we wanted to lead from the front and set an example, walk the talk in some sense, to showcase that you can overcome challenges if you have that will, and that's always been our thing that we are trying with WDI. So what we did is kind of started reporting on our own, understood what it takes for workforce reporting, given WDI is, we think, one of the gold standards out there when it comes to workforce reporting. It was challenging initially. We took what it takes to improved our scores over time. And now we are taking that experience to our investee companies to kind of show them how they can disclose better and how they can improve over a period of time better from workforce perspective. So it's been a great journey, great collaboration with WDI. The regulatory environment is changing significantly in India, and I think the BRSR push helped us a lot to engage last year. I think we've just got started. I think it allows us a chance to be active owners, and thank you, WDI, for that. I would urge many other investor signatories to join hands with WDI and us and try and reach out to more Indian companies and try to be active owners in a true sense. So I think it's been a great journey, and I think we will move further significantly from here on when it comes to workforce reporting in India. Thank you so much.
Chirag, super. Anushka, last but no means least.
Hi, Rosie. Thank you very much. So we're always really keen to understand everything we can about our employees, just so that we can give them the best experience. We've got 2,500 employees at Softcat across multiples of locations. And there are times that we do need to recruit contingent workers for specific projects that require special and specific skill set for that time, especially when it comes to things like transformation projects. And we do our best to embed them in and get them up and running as quickly as possible. It's also really important for us to see how we benchmark against other data through the WDI workforce process as well. And off the back of that, we can create meaningful actions on areas that we do require improving on. It's important for us to also benchmark roles and follow the guidance that's provided by things like the UK Living Wage Foundation and also Living Wage Ireland. So on behalf of Softcat, thank you for having us, and it's nice to be shortlisted.
Yeah. James, to reveal the next award and shortlist. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. So we will next look at the Best First Time Responder Award. And in order to be shortlisted for this award, a company had to be taking part for the first time, of course, and to have completed the largest amount of the survey. And since, as we know, WDI is a very detailed, very comprehensive framework, it's a real achievement to be shortlisted for this award. And you can see here there are 3 companies that were shortlisted, and the first time responder with the most complete response in 2023 was Serco Group. Very pleased to announce. And I wonder, could I ask Robert Smith, Director of Business Compliance at Serco, to say a few words? Robert, can I pass over to you?
Certainly. I'm just trying to sort out the technology. But firstly, thank you very much for recognising Serco with this award. And I think it recognises the significant amount of work, not just put in this last year in completing the survey, but also in previous years as we've developed how we better manage our colleagues across our operations and our supply chain. Our purpose as a business is to impact a better future, which is why we're committed to measuring what matters, the positive impact we make to people, place and planet. Now, our current thinking has emerged over several years as we've evolved our thinking from a simple corporate responsibility model to our comprehensive ESG framework that supports the delivery of the services we provide. And people have always been at the core of this approach and now sit as an explicit pillar in our ESG framework. And this has driven our transparency agenda to better report both internally and externally on a range of matters, but specifically regarding people, be that their safety, diversity, inclusion, engagement, human rights, or well-being. And we're always looking for ways to review and challenge what we're doing. Completing the WDI survey has provided us with a new lens through which we can actually access and measure how effectively we're managing our own human capital and that of our supply chain. Completing the surveys has made us actually reflect and think about the range of metrics we do monitor, and more importantly, what we do with the data it actually gives us. It's challenged our policies and procedures to ensure we meet the right international standards and confirmed how we demonstrate that our workforce practices are delivered for all colleagues in Serco, but also within our supply chain. Now, we recognise we're not perfect and there are always areas for improvement. The output of the WDI survey will help us recognise those areas where we need to do more and inform our plans moving forward. It'll support our current activities to invest in our global employee value proposition and bring renewed vision and action to the collective development and support of our people. But it also helps us provide the level of detail our investors are looking for and demonstrate we're a responsible business and understand our workforce and supply chain. Across a large international business, data gathering can be challenging and takes time and effort by those involved, but the outcome supports our commitment to respect and manage our people and supply chain and demonstrate the transparency to our investors. So thank you again for the recognition.
Thank you very much, Robert, and congratulations to you and your colleagues at Serco Group. So now we will move on to the next award for most improved, and so this award recognises companies who managed to improve the completeness of their response the most in 2023 compared to 2022. And taking part in the WDI is very much an iterative process. And all we ask really is that companies aim to add as much information each year as they can. And so the companies shortlisted here have obviously done a very good job at that. And I'd like to congratulate all the shortlisted companies, but the company that improved the completeness of their response most in 2023 was Assa Abloy. And unfortunately, the Assa Abloy team can't be with us here today, but I do have a short statement from Bjorn Tibell, Head of Investor Relations at Assa Abloy, which I'll read now. We participated in the WDI for the first time in 2019, following a good conversation with WDI. The survey has been completed by our human resources team and reviewed by investor relations. In 2023, we decided to make more of an effort to fill in information that we had not been able to fill in previously or simply not prioritized. We are a very decentralized company and do not always have all the data available, but that has improved through investments in new systems internally. It was therefore good to see that our efforts resulted in an improvement of our score, although we note that our journey of improvement is far from over yet, which I think is a very positive note to finish on. And I'll hand back to Rosie for the next award.
It's lovely. So we are on to the final award, which congratulates the companies who had the most complete responses overall. These companies, of course, showed a great level of commitment to workforce reporting. We thank them all for the considerable time and effort that went into providing this much data. So you can see here the shortlisted companies with their overall disclosure scores all really, really high, which is really fantastic to see. These are the top 10% of companies overall. And then I'm very happy to reveal that the winner is PensionBee, as you can see from the scores. So we'd like to ask Georgia again to say just a few words, if that's okay, Georgia. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, thank you so much. We are definitely thrilled to receive the WDI award, and we have a long history with the WDI. It was the first framework in PensionBee's ESG journey, so we're proud to see the quality of our disclosure and our results improve over the years. As a medium-sized company, we face several challenges in collecting such a huge data set. For instance, when it comes to workforce composition and diversity data, where we have groups with fewer than 10 people, it's difficult to find a balance between reporting for transparency and protecting the anonymity of our colleagues. Another difficulty has been mapping our value chain. in particular, engaging with the big technology companies and obtaining even a basic level of workforce data, as we found out that individual action wasn't enough. And that's when we approached WDI and we became part of the ICT sector engagement project with other signatories of WDI. But despite the challenges, we will always recommend that any business start disclosing under WDI, even at a very early stage. And this is because we believe that it helps in identifying any workforce-related issues within an organization, allowing the company to address them before they become so embedded in the company structure and culture that it gets too complicated and it requires a much bigger deployment of resources. So the WDI really helps the whole organization to develop and shape a mindset that will be beneficial in the long term. And we're very happy with our progress and with our journey with WDI so far. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Georgia. Yeah, it's been really lovely with working with you guys and all the other winners and responders. Thank you so much, everyone, for all the time and effort. It really is really impressive. I just want to very quickly pass back to Red, who wanted to say a few words in wrap up, because that was our final award. Over to you, Red.
Thank you very much. First of all, congratulations, obviously, to everybody, but I think everybody's a winner, as they usually say. The theme that kept coming across in all of the comments was it's about the transparency. It's the willingness to continuously improve and look at what the reporting is doing. And the thing that we want to stress, I know from the team, is ultimately nobody gets it right across everything. We want to be able to support you and make some decisions on next year and the year beyond. The other thing that I just wanted to very quickly highlight, and I'm not sure if some of you already know, that at Thomson Reuters Foundation, we actually host an annual flagship event known as the Trust Conference. It's actually a 2-day event, which is dedicated to tackling the world's most complex societal issues, right from media freedom, which obviously is a big subject in this year as we roll it through different global elections, especially as 50% of the global population will be in countries where significant elections have been held, through to digital rights and responsible business and climate change. It attracts a large international audience with over 800 delegates across 70 that come to London from 75 countries. This year, we're really excited that we're actually going to host our 12th event, and it's on the 23rd and the 24th of October. And already from the inclusive economy side, we're looking at panels, keynotes, and fireside chats that will look at themes ranging from things like the backlash to ESG, which is a big topic, through to key trends and challenges within responsible business disclosures, and where to next. In light of yesterday's European ruling on CSDDD as well, the where to next conversation, I think, will be a pretty interesting one. So please join us in October and do pre-register. We've been very fortunate. Last year, we were able to offer the conference free. There was an admission charge in the previous years, but it is now free, which means we have a huge demand for tickets for folks to come. So as soon as pre-registration's up, we will let you know and do register. And if you have ideas or if you have themes that comments that you'd like to make, we'd be appreciative of that. So a reminder, it's actually on the 23rd and the 24th of October, and it will be in central London. And at that point, I'm going to hand it over to Rosie.
Thank you, Red. Just wanted to wrap up again and say thank you so much for all the resources and brain power and time that goes into every single response. We really, really do appreciate it. If you haven't yet signed up for a feedback call on your 2023 response for those responding companies online, please do do sign up for one. We want to talk to you about your response. Please just email me here. And with any questions at all, it doesn't have to be just about feedback calls, anything at all, we'd really love to hear from you. And all that remains to be said is thank you very much to Bradley Park. You would have seen his name consistently on the screen. He was just helping with admin frantically in the background. So thank you, Bradley. Thank you, everyone. Do get in touch with any questions. Thank you so much.